All right, so a really important thing in golf, we've probably already touched on it depending on what videos you've watched, is thoracic rotation, okay? So in the seated position, the golfer needs at least 45 degrees of motion into thoracic rotation, both ways, okay? Because you have the backswing and then you have the follow through. Ideally, everything would just spin and there'd be no significant kind of as we rotate. Thomas wants to go in this like big side bend to the right as we rotate. So ideally, it would go just a pure kind of spinning motion. I already know with him that I think that's coming more so from his pelvis as the reason that he does that. But what I want to feel is, does he get to 45 degrees? Is there any pain with that motion? And then what's the quality? Like, where do I feel any tension coming to? It could be more the front of the chest. It could be more the side of the rib cage. It could be kind of into the mid-back area. It could also be pulling down into the pelvis. So I like to kind of manually feel, going both directions, where I feel that tension coming to. Go ahead and lie on your back, Thomas. Let's say that the tension was coming from the front of his chest, and this is with a lot of golfers, especially, I mean, it could be golfers with that C posture or with that overextended S posture, where they have the hardest time actually opening up through the front of their chest. A lot of golfers sit at a desk all day for their day job and just end up being so closed down. The tendency is to go immediately to try and extend everything. Well, if they can't open up on the front, or the ability for the ribs to decompress away from the sternum and use their diaphragm to breathe and lengthen, and when you use your diaphragm, it actually uses its full range of motion or length of that muscle. If you can't do that, the diaphragm gets bound down, the front gets bound down, and then their rotation gets limited. So for Thomas, I would go into figuring out which ribs don't really want to spring away from the sternum. For him, it's kind of down here in this lower rib. I can check springing towards me also. Worse on this left side at the bottom. Then I can kind of take up all the tension there, put your feet and knees together. And then I could go and localize into that, and that comes into my finger there. So hold here, Thomas, don't let me move you. There we go. And let it go. So I can work on where the bones attach. I could work on pec major on the front of the chest. I could work on pec minor, things that will help that shoulder blade position to also help with that thoracic rotation. And finally, the last thing that I would also work on is some soft tissue work along the lower border of that rib cage, because that's where that diaphragm lives, that main breathing muscle that we should be using all the time that most of us just aren't using very well and gets really tight. So this is how I would open up the front of the chest for the people that are most limited there from a thoracic or mid-back rotation standpoint.